Investigators continue to search for the motive behind an ambush that left 3 officers dead and 3 others wounded here in Baton Rouge. I'm Chris Martinez. The very latest on the investigation is coming up.
We're here at Drake's in the Lansdowne Shopping Center. Coming up, find out how they're showing their support for local law enforcement all day long.
Looking at your hour-by-hour forecast, this afternoon off into the evening hours. Here comes some more storms into the forecast. I'm going to take you hour by hour with your timeline coming up.
This is WKYT News at Noon.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. Some storms are moving across the state right now, and we're bracing for another round this afternoon, even into the evening hours.
We're going to be watching it closely. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live at our First Alert Weather Center with the details on that. Micah?
Yeah, as I spoke about earlier this morning, I don't expect widespread severe weather, nothing like that. But you will get some storms today. They're going to be hit and miss. They travel across the region. Lexington has not picked up a single drop here, not just yet, but we do have a few showers heading our direction if they stick together. That's what's been going on here with a lot of this just kind of falling apart. Strongest storm right now over Beattyville and Lee County. Now, this is traveling right along the US 11, heads up Boonville. You are next in line. Pretty strong storm there. And then one back toward that Johnson and Morgan County line as that one pushes through Sayersville, Paintsville. You're going to be next in line. And then I want you to look northbound, back toward the northwest off into Illinois. That's another batch that's going to be rolling on through, another piece of energy that's heading our direction. I'm going to talk about when we can expect that one because that is our strong to potentially a stray severe cell. That's the threat right there. And I'm going to go over the timeline coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, stay with us for that. Thank you.
Investigators in Baton Rouge are trying to determine what motivated a former Marine sergeant from Missouri to open fire on police officers, killing 3 and wounding 3 others.
Chris Martinez has the latest from Baton Rouge, and that is our top story at noon.
A police chaplain put up crosses
and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
And read scriptures near the Baton Rouge convenience store where a gunman ambushed police officers on Sunday.
The community is just torn up, just too much violence.
The shooting began when officers responded to a call about an armed man dressed in black.
Shot fire, officer down! Shot fire, officer down!
Police say former Marine Gavin Long was targeting police. He died in a shootout with officers. 3 officers from 2 different departments were killed. 45-year-old father of 4, Brad Garafola, 41-year-old former Marine Matthew Gerald, and 32-year-old Montrell Jackson, who had just become a father. 3 other officers were taken to the hospital, 1 in critical condition. This city has been on edge for nearly 2 weeks after police shot and killed a black man during a struggle. Another police shooting in Minnesota and the killing of 5 Dallas police officers has added to tensions across the nation.
We're going to have to do better in terms of our dialogue, but we can't pretend that's going to be enough. No. We need new law enforcement strategies.
CBS News has learned Long was part of a group that believed government and law enforcement do not have any authority. He frequently posted videos online.
I thought my own thoughts. I made my own decisions. I'm the one who got to listen to the judgment.
Long carried out the attack on his 29th birthday. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Baton Rouge.
And we understand that police are planning to provide an update on their investigation at some point later this afternoon.
Law enforcement across the nation trying to come to grips with the loss of the 3 officers killed in Louisiana. Some local businesses are doing their part to show their support for officers here in Kentucky in the wake of the recent police shootings. WKYT's Andrea Walker is live at Drake's in Lexington, where they're serving up free lunch to officers as a way to say thanks for their service. Andrea, what a great idea.
It really is, Barbara. As you can see, we're at Drake's in the Lansdowne Shopping Center in Lexington, where officers can eat free all day long, and as you can see, they're already starting to take advantage of it. With the recent tragic events that have happened in Dallas and Baton Rouge, the owners of the Bluegrass Hospitality Group came up with the idea to show their support last night, and the wheels were set in motion early this morning. They say treating officers to a nice meal, whether they're on duty or off today, is the least they can do to show their support for those who serve and protect day in and day out.
With recent events going on around the country, we just felt that this would be the perfect opportunity to honor the police officers, and we want to recognize them for the hard work and dedication to our community, and then treat them with two things we're passionate about: food and hospitality.
And both Drake's locations in Louisville and one in Florence are also participating in today's event, providing those free lunches for officers to show support. The Republican National Convention kicks off in Cleveland today amid tight security in the wake of the Baton Rouge shootings and other recent attacks. Tonight's theme, Make America Safe Again, will focus on how a Donald Trump presidency would help restore law and order. And instead of it being a showbiz convention, as Trump had promised, it's shaping up to be a family-focused affair. Tonight, Trump's wife is set to speak, along with former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Now, at least two Kentucky lawmakers will be in Cleveland for the convention this week. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is set to speak tomorrow, while State Senator Ralph Alvarado Jr. will address the crowd Wednesday. And meanwhile, Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton will speak to the NAACP National Convention in Cincinnati, just as the RNC is getting underway.
And that speech beginning this hour. Well, jury selection is underway this midday in a high-profile Lexington murder case. Matthew Donahue is accused of killing his boyfriend, Todd Schumacher, at a home on Lamont Drive in January of last year. He is also accused of putting the victim's dog into a hot oven. WKYT's Mark Barber is outside the Fayette County Courthouse with the latest on the case. Mark?
The prosecutor plans to call first responders and heartbroken family members to testify tomorrow. Today, the judge and the attorneys are wading through a pool of about 45 prospective jurors to select the jury that will decide this case. The judge and the attorney started whittling down the field of jurors a couple hours ago to make sure Matthew Donahue receives a fair trial. The 21-year-old is accused of killing his boyfriend at a home on Lamont Drive last year. According to police, he stabbed Todd Schumacher between 50 and 70 times. On the January night Schumacher was killed, the couple was arguing because Donahue told the 40-year-old he wanted to leave him. Donahue says he contracted HIV because his boyfriend was cheating on him. Later that night, Donahue says Schumacher tried to strangle him, so he grabbed a knife and stabbed him. Prosecutors say that's all quite a story. They think the self-defense argument is just talk because they say Donahue did not share any of that information with detectives. According to investigators, the 21-year-old did confess to the murder, but his attorney says the police coerced that confession out of him when he was under the influence of sleeping pills. During jury selection this morning, his attorney focused heavily on finding jurors who can give this case a fair trial.
I want to be able to talk to my jurors about HIV and bias regarding that.
Donahue's trial is expected to end on Thursday. This is not a death penalty case. In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
And during the trial, the judge will allow a conversation about a 2014 animal abuse case in which Donahue is accused of sticking Schumacher's dog into a hot oven, as we mentioned. Well, today starts our Scam Week series on WKYT News. Summer is a popular time for salespeople to come knocking on doors. Some are legit, but others that you need to be aware of before you sign up what they're selling. The Better Business Bureau of Central and Eastern Kentucky gets lots of complaints about home security companies stopping by homes and wanting to sell a security system.
I wished I'd never let him in the door. I wished he never got in the door.
Tonight at 6 on WKYT News, one Clark County resident talks about a bad experience after a salesperson knocked on her door. Ground has been broken today on a new youth center in central Kentucky.
The Kentucky United Methodist Homes for Children and Youth started work this morning on the state-of-the-art facility in Nicholasville. WKYT's Mike Byer is in Jessamine County now to tell us all about it. Mike?
The ground is broken and construction will begin shortly on a brand new $15 million youth center right here in Nicholasville. Kentucky United Methodist Homes for Children and Youth, along with several state and local leaders, broke ground this morning during a special ceremony. The new youth center will be located at 1115 Ash Grove Road in Nicholasville. The 31,000 square foot facility will provide many programs and opportunities for abused, neglected, and abandoned children. The project will take this historic home and turn it into an administrative space. Built around their futures will be a new 12,500 square foot chapel and training center. The new campus will feature a state-of-the-art program building, paddocks for equine therapy, and an on-campus learning facility.
It'll just give us the opportunity to use the newest and latest technology around security, helping them feel safe, because we realize that our kids can't begin to learn, they can't begin to get that redirection until they discover that safety in their life.
The entire project is expected to be completed by the end of July of 2017. In Jessamine County, Mike Byer, WKYT.
Mike, thank you. And construction on the project is expected to begin in the next week or so.
Well, thousands gather in Nice, France to honor the lives lost in last week's terrorist attack. We'll take you to that ceremony coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, Kim Kardashian is using the power of Snapchat to take down Taylor Swift. What this has to do with the Kanye West feud, next on WKYT. Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. France has held a national moment of silence today for 84 people killed by a truck rampage in Nice last week.
With flowers in their hands and tears in their eyes, crowds stood on the rocky beach for several minutes today, looking toward the road where Bastille Day celebrations became a killing field last Thursday. Police say the suspect sped his truck through the crowd, aiming to kill. We've also learned an American is among the dead. Nicholas Leslie was a student at the University of California, Berkeley. A judge has acquitted a Baltimore police officer on all charges in the death of Freddie Gray. Gray died after he was injured in a police transport van back in 2015. Lieutenant Brian Rice was the fourth of 6 officers charged who went on trial. Rice is the highest ranking of the officers. 3 earlier cases resulted in 2 acquittals and a mistrial. Now we'll have reaction to the not guilty verdict coming up in a report on WKYT News at 12:30. Kentucky native George Clooney is the latest A-lister to be targeted by a psychotic stalker.
The Oscar winner was granted a 5-year restraining order against a man who's been threatening his family and harassing him with, quote, delusional and disturbing documents. The 189 documents featured an assassination plot of George H.W. Bush and the murder of 6-year-old pageant queen JonBenet Ramsey in 1996. The man is currently being kept under psychiatric evaluation. The beef between Kanye West and Taylor Swift is heating up again. West's wife, Kim Kardashian, posted a Snapchat video of an old phone call between the 2 Grammy winners. In it, West tells Swift he's going to rap about her in a new song, with lyrics suggesting that they should have sex. Swift seems to give her approval and thanks West for asking her in advance. But when the song Famous came out earlier this year, he also added a derogatory word about her. At first, Swift denied knowing anything about the song. She's now acknowledging the call with West, but says the audio proves she never gave approval for him to call her the B word.
I'm Phil Pendleton in Pulaski County at 12:30. The jailer here says that his deputies need to have firearms with them when they travel to and from the jail.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
A lot of us today still have not seen any rain. Now, I expect that later on this afternoon, at least afternoon and evening, to see a couple of rumbles of thunder, even some showers pass on by. But I want to show you what's going on. It's an extremely complex system, and it's one that you're just going to have to watch throughout the rest of the afternoon because weather models are not picking up on this very well. Here's the outlook, though. Here's what's going on. So the first batch of rain has thrown off a light band of showers and a couple of isolated thunderstorms down toward the southeast. Now, southeast is running into those mountainous regions. It's firing away. Salyersville really getting hammered right now with some heavy rain. Painesville, you are next in line. Not only heavy rain, but watch out for some gusty winds and a lot of lightning. Beattyville just got done with this. Boonville now getting in on the action. Jackson, more than likely, it's going to stay just to the south and southwest of you as it travels southbound. Heads up, say Buckhorn. More than likely, either Buckhorn or Hazard will be next in line, depending on which which way it kind of turns a little bit. But that's what we're watching right there. The stuff up to the north continues to fall apart. Just some light showers at this moment, and watch that fall apart in the next couple of hours. Then we take a big long break, and then here comes this next piece of energy coming out of Illinois and Indiana. That's one we have to watch closely, already with a severe thunderstorm warning on that. So that will make its way into our neck of the woods later on this afternoon and evening. I'm looking anywhere from 4 p.m. to about 8 p.m. to see these roll on in. So just keep in mind, don't let your guard down once that rain stops, because it's not over with just yet. That'll take you into the rest of the afternoon, off into the evening hours. By the nighttime hours, it looks to fade away. I still expect a small chance of rain before midnight, but most of that fades away before midnight. And then we focus our attention on the next several days. Tomorrow, still a few storms, but look what happens. This warm front moves north of us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and look at these numbers showing up. That does not look fun to go through. 93 degrees in Lexington, 94 showing up Danville to Richmond, and 96 degrees coming in on this particular model down in Monticello, down in Wayne County. It's not going to feel good the rest of the work week, guys. We're talking about a summer feel in the forecast with that humidity way up. Storms will be likely today. They're hit and miss. Not everybody sees the rain, but also a few thunderstorms tomorrow, and then the heat really cranks up all the way through the week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, oh, boy. Yeah,
Well, it is summer.
About that.
It should feel like summer.
That's
It is
right.
summer.
Be sure that AC is ready to go, huh?
You bet.
All right, keep it here now on WKYT. Wildcat basketball fans love to make their plans.
And early in the season, they won't have to travel much. Dave Baker explains next in sports.
As we head to break, let's check stocks this afternoon. And the major market indicators once again are climbing on this Monday.
The folks at UK have put a new spin on the release of the often anticipated Basketball Cats pre-conference schedule, rolling it out in phases over the course of this Monday. The release of the first 7 events highlighted by the first 3 games of the regular season. Of course, it all gets started on October 14th with Big Blue Madness, and then 1 week later the Blue-White game, both of which will be televised by the SEC Network. Then it's the previously announced exhibition portion of the schedule. John Calipari's alma mater, Clarion, comes to town on October 30th, and it's Asbury on November 6th. After that, 3 games in 5 days to open the regular season. On November 11th, Stephen F. Austin, who just missed making it to the NCAA Sweet 16 a year ago. Canisius comes to Rupp Arena on November the 13th for the first game of the 4-game Bluegrass Showcase. And then the Cats travel to Madison Square Garden for their second meeting in the Champions Classic against Michigan State. A busy November rolls on with 3 straight at Rupp as part of that 4-game Bluegrass Showcase. Duquesne on November 20th, Cleveland State on November 23rd, and UK's second ever meeting with UT Martin on November 25th. Finally, the opening month of the season concludes with a November 28th matchup against Arizona State, but it's in Atlantis in the Bahamas. UK will release the remainder of the non-conference schedule throughout the day, and we'll keep you posted right here on WKYT and WKYT.com. On Saturday, Tyler Eulis was the hero, hitting the game winner. It was a game-winning 3 in overtime, advancing his Suns in the NBA Summer League playoffs. Last night, Eulis and the Suns met up with the T-Wolves in the Summer League semifinal. Fourth quarter, how about Eulis? How about a little step back right there? However, he had struggled from the field, just 5 for 21. Suns down 11, a minute to play. Eulis at the elbow knocks it down. And then on the break, how about Eulis? Spotting up on the left wing for the 3. That brought Phoenix to within 6, but that's as close as they would get. Minnesota wins it 93-83. Tyler with 11 points, 7 assists in his final Summer League game. Tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, Gary Danielson of CBS Sports talks about the football Wildcats. That's an absolute must listen. Western Kentucky head coach Jeff Brom, and there'll no doubt be discussion about this portion of the UK basketball schedule, which has been released. That's all coming up at 6 on 630 WLAP. Guys, that's a look at sports on this busy Monday.
Okay, and that it is, Buzz. Thank you so much, and we hope you'll keep it here on WKYT News for our next half hour. We have a lot more coming up.
A 2-year-old boy is fighting for his life after nearly drowning in a swimming pool at a Central Kentucky home this weekend.
A judge hands down a verdict for the highest-ranking officer to be charged in the death of Freddie Gray, whose fatal injury sparked riots. I'm Mark Albert in Baltimore. The decision coming up.
Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is $25 million. Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot is now $361 million.